Good evening, one and all. Welcome along to Season 3, Episode 7 of the UK Dallas Cowboys Fan Club. It is Victory Polo Tuesday once more. Cowboys won 41-21 against some team from Pennsylvania. We're 2-1, and we lead the NFC East. How is everybody doing?
Try, Eagles, try.
I'm something good.
Shy Eagle shy.
I had one request for today's show. Dallas forever.
Philly
for never.
There we go.
I've just what I have just done today. I've just nominated Nick Sirianni for a humanitarian award because he's single-handedly sending a whole load of Beat Dallas T-shirts out to the third world to clothe all the people that are needing clothes. So,
I tell you what, though. I tell you what. The response from the Dallas Cowboys media team, shout out to them by editing that T-shirt. That was we try and stay classy, but because it's them, it's like I think it was. You know what? No, you guys deserve that. You deserve the absolute onslaught on social media for this. Absolutely.
It was hard this afternoon. I flipped onto the Twitter page at dinner time and thought, yeah, let's just have a little bit of a wind up and just tag the UK Eagles in that picture. And to be fair, they had a bit of banter, but if you look back through some of the people that were reading them was like, Cowboys suck, blah blah blah. We're gonna absolutely dick the Cowboys, and it's like this is too good to this is backfired, isn't it? Yeah, let's stay.
Yeah, it's like you said, Jimmy, I know the guys from the UK Eagles, a nice bunch of guys, but at the same time, sorry guys, but your team is absolutely rubbish. You got pumped.
So, as always, folks, make sure and get your comments in. The comments are flying in already. As we say, we're four guys who are just chatting amongst ourselves, unless you guys get involved. And, of course, you ladies, too, make sure you send us in your comments. We are an equal opportunities podcast. We will have anyone, bar that team's fans. But it was a great night. It was a great performance. Very little went wrong during the game. Yes, one or two things we would all say that need to be tightened up on.
Yeah.
But overall, I think it was a great result. I think we're all feeling a lot more positive heading into our next block of fixtures.
Yeah. If you were to kind of grade the overall performance, I wouldn't give it an A+. I would give it an A. For sure. Because like you said, Brian, there was a couple of things that we could easily addressed, which we'll go into in detail later on. But but overall, I'm absolutely over the moon. Offense played fantastic, and that kind of said this on the when I was on the Eagles on the Eagles podcast. It's like, watch out, you're making the mockery of Zeke. I'm telling you right now, watch your A and B gaps when it's inside run. Zeke is going to destroy you guys because after seeing that, what San Francisco did, it was wide open. And look what happened. Even Pollard was running through the middle. It was insane.
And again, I mean, Zeke showed that he was a team player last night because Corey Clement got in on the action as well. And you know, somebody said to Zeke after the game, you know, why was Corey Clement? And he said, well, everybody's got to get on the field. You know, everybody's got to get a carry. and apparently those were Zeke's carries to give up. So, he could have gone, what was it, 93 yards he finished rushing?
I think it was 97 yards, and I think his
so he only needed...
Yeah,
he was averaging 5 yards a carry, and I mean, one more carry, and that would have been it. He'd be over 100 yards, but he's not worried about that. He got the win. But he did what he needed to do for the team. So, he's great. He's getting paid. He's getting paid the money, but you can only put the roster together that you have, and you've got to find a way of balancing it.
And the way how we're playing right now, especially, I know we're just about to talk about offense in a second, but we're actually playing. We're playing based on how we see their defense. We're playing against their defense. We're not sticking to our guns. We're trying to adapt to try and beat their defense. Pick up all the weak points. So kudos to Kellen Moore, kudos to Mike McCarthy, kudos to the whole Cowboys coaching staff. I think they did a great job.
So what makes that more impressive as well is those are the kind of games where you can come unstuck. Kind of the division games, kind of form goes out the window, doesn't it? And it's just who adapts to it better. And like I say, just fair play to the coaches, and like I say, that rather than always stick to the game plan, look at what the defense was giving you. And I think Mac made that a point last night in his press conference, didn't he? Saying, I don't know if it was the Schultz touchdown or even the one for Wilson at the end. He said that the defense gave them something different that they'd not seen, and so they were like, right, let's like you're saying, you've got to take advantage of them, because like I say, it's not often defenses give you players like that, do they? So fair play to them. I mean, if you got it in the book for one time, haven't you?
And here's the thing, though, that the score could have been 49-0, so 49-21 when you think about it.
Yeah.
So the
refs screwed us.
Yeah, there was the extra point that was missed by Sirloin, and there was also what you just mentioned was which the ball was clearly over the line. When you really see the overview view, when you match up I don't know what Eagles defender it was, but his head, when you kind of line it up, like his helmet was on the line and the ball was beyond that. So how does that, it's crazy.
Yeah, the whistles didn't blow until the ball was rolling down, and everybody thought it was, commentators all thought it was a fumble, and I watched a bit of the Manning cast this morning as well, and I mean they were screaming, but that was a touchdown, and couldn't believe it.
Remind me later to come back to the Manning podcast, please. But before we do go much further, I do want to give a shout out to a special person tonight. MVP here for us here at the UK Dallas Cowboys. Mike Poland kept you all informed last night across all of our social media and content. I went to set up the show this afternoon, and I posted the time, and I said I was going to come back in and do all the stats when I finished work. Came back and it was all done. So, Mike, thank you very much. We do appreciate absolutely everything you do. And Paul, with that comment you just pulled up, would you like to make an announcement?
So I have put my loyalty towards the Texas Longhorns. I finally picked a Texas team in college football.
And with 3 Longhorns around you, we'll all endorse that message.
And somewhere Mike is going, no!
It'll be like the screaming, dying cry of Darth Vader and Revenge of the Sith. It's like, no! It'll be like, oh.
But so before we get into the actual game itself, we'll just bring up the injuries and the latest news. So,
the injury report. Wow.
So there was no reported injuries coming out of the game last night, which is an added bonus, because I think one of you guys said this in our own admin chat that, given the amount of injuries we do have and the players we have missing, how good was last night's performance?
Outstanding. Just outstanding.
Yeah. I mean, Dan Quinn must have a magic wand, because when you lose DeMarcus Lawrence, you lose Bradley and I goes on the COVID list 24 hours before the game. You've lost Dorrance Armstrong. You've lost Carlos Watkins. You're possibly having to bring up Golston and give him his first start after a week and a half of training. You know, to get the pressure that we did, and I mean, to see Osa get 1.5 sacks, the tackle for loss on the QB option that Parsons got. I mean, and all the time, you know, Hurts was on the run most of last night, and I picked up on something somebody said where Hurts, when he's running, he always goes to the right hand side. So you know, it's something to build on next time we face him as well. If we're facing him 6 weeks down the line or whatever, and he's still in control of the quarterback job, you know, you'll be scheming everything towards that side so that he's got to run, or forcing them to run left, and you know that nothing's going to come from that.
Sorry, Lord. I just can't help but laugh at the wee bit at the end where it says, "Before 4 a.m., so sleepy." Yes, folks, myself, Mike, and I think Rich as well.
Rich,
And what about you guys? Did you stay out for the rest of the game?
No, I had board meetings this morning. So
I had meetings all day.
Yeah, I tried to stay up for the whole game, and I must have passed out about halfway through the fourth quarter. Right, and by then the damage was done. So, and I just basically catched up with the rest of the highlights this morning, when I woke up, in case I missed anything. And when I saw the final score, I was like, I'm not.
So, in some of our other news, obviously, look, we're not going to go back over this ground because obviously it's an evolving situation. Lyell is serving the 5-game suspension. I don't think there's anything more we should really say on this, given the sensitivity of it, and we don't want to get ourselves libeled by anything that's out there in the media at the minute.
If there's anything I will say on it, it's definitely thrown a spanner in the works of what we were originally thinking is like, what's the NFL thinking, blah 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 blah, and then we got hit with pretty much an uppercut across the face to say this happened. I'm wow, okay, that changes the whole argument completely. So I'm totally fine not talking about it. I think we've already spoke our goodwills on the whole Lyell Collins situation. Serve a suspension, get back onto business, but I think we'll need to evaluate Lyell in terms of his mental state going forward, like from the Cowboys personnel point of view. So that's the only thing I will say on it.
Yeah.
Despite how talented he is, we can't have that.
Yeah. So moving on to actually some of the facts from the game itself. So obviously Trayvon Diggs with a pick 6, his 3rd interception in 3 games. He's 6 in his last 8 games. He's the only cornerback this year with an interception in each of the 3 games, and I think he's had 7 interceptions, and that's the most through the first 16 games of a career.
Yeah, I mean he's actually the first Cowboys cornerback to have multiple weeks with 1 interception since Everson Walls in 1985. So I mean that's how far back you've got to go for and he's already pretty much on a pace for Everson Walls in 81. You know, with the 11 in a season. You know, if he carries on at this with what 6, it'll be 16 this season.
16.
You know, that would just
17.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
But this is why we love having Lauren, the senior member of the team, on. He can tell you the histories, folks. We always know Lauren will have a fact like that. Jamie, you said it before we came on air. You know, I mean, And I'm looking at the numbers here, but I think we believe there was 9 cornerbacks taken before Trayvon Diggs last year. And we seem to have got the best of the lot.
No, I think we discussed it in the admin group, and we posted it out on the Twitter page. How on earth this guy fell out of the first round is beyond me. And even just for his play at Bama, I mean, his play in college he played at a high level at college. So it just makes you think, what did teams get turned off by? I mean, not saying that going in the second rounds anything to be sniffed at. I mean, it's still fairly high, but I think, what do you say, the ninth cornerback taken, or the ninth defensive back taken?
3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He was the 8th cornerback taken.
Yeah.
There's definitely not 8 cornerbacks. Sorry, there's 7 cornerbacks in that draft. If you look better than him, it's just going to be a problem that he's going to have to get paid in a couple of years. And if you go on year by year, he's making that transition of he came in and played really well, and he's already the best defensive back on his team, and we're 3 games into year.
I think the whole reason why he fell was purely that teams were concerned that he'd spent the first 2 years playing wide receiver, and had only converted in his junior year. But I mean, what is it? Trayvon Diggs has as many interceptions as Stephon Diggs has touchdowns this year. So, or there's some sort of stat like that they're both they're both leading the league with touchdowns and picks and what have you. So,
I'm just looking at the names right now, Lauren. Like Jeff Okudah, he's been a bust for Detroit. Number pick 3 overall.
Right? Can't get on the field, and when he's been on the field, he's been nothing.
Right, CJ Henderson. Now CJ Henderson. Funny enough, we were just talking about him before the show went live. Is now traded away. AJ Terrell for Atlanta Falcons. He's kind of been okay, I suppose. Not being as a stand. He has his moments, right? Damon Arnett. I have not got a Scooby-Doo who the hell he is.
So Damon Arnett was a huge reach by the only team that would do it, the Raiders. He was a 3rd round talent, and no one expected him, and the Raiders took him in the first.
Yeah, then after that, Miami Dolphins took Noah Igbenogany, from Auburn, and Minnesota took Jeff Gladney, which is fair enough. It's cut. Then right before we picked Trayvon Diggs, the Chicago Bears picked Jalen Johnson from Utah. So that's just crazy. And you said that all last year, Brian, especially you, Brian. You did not see any of these cornerbacks worth a first round. If there was a guy you would like to get, if we were in the first round, it would have been Diggs.
Yeah,
and you said that a long time ago. No, so
I think my words before the season were, and you're all going to laugh, of course. I said I think Trayvon Diggs is going to fill a Jeff Heath-shaped hole in my life, and he has absolutely filled that hole. He's been outstanding since he came to Dallas.
His popularity just among the fan base as well. If you look on Twitter this morning, he's just going through the roof. Like, it's literally, if anything, won't surprise me if he's a lot of fans' favourite player at the moment. That's not taking away anything else from anybody else. Just for the fact that he doesn't look at it. Like, sometimes, especially at that position, you see rookies come in and struggle, don't you, just to find the feet. And he's, I think from when he was it on DK Metcalf when he made that impressive tackle,
punch.
Ever since then, it's just the standard
was amazing.
Amazing. So, long may it continue.
It's funny that you mentioned the word rookies there. If there's one thing I've been very impressed with is all of our rookies that were on the field that day. Every single one of them, from Osa Odighizuwa, from Quentin Bowana, like they were bringing the fire in that central part of that defensive line. Holy crap. and obviously Micah Parsons. My God, like cannot give this guy so much any more praise. He's honestly he's going to be an absolute superstar for Dallas. It really is.
It makes you excited as well, doesn't it, about the ones that sadly haven't been able to make it to the field yet for whichever reasons. You think, well, the ones that have managed to get on there now and are putting in some good shifts makes you think these guys are going to come in and do exactly the same.
Yeah.
Well, we need to see any of them are becoming available this week. Kelvin Joseph can be activated. Josh Ball can be activated this week. So, maybe we see them coming in. And, Steele, I think, has obviously done a job that we don't need to rush Josh Ball back other than...
if there's one thing are we moving on to the offense just now, or what?
We just got through the last couple of points there, obviously. So we were talking about the rookies. Chauncey Golston got on the field for the first time last night. Solid performance. Dak had a QB rating of 143.3. I think he failed to complete only 4 passes. He was 2 for 26 passes. We'll go through that in the offense. We had an attendance of 93,000 plus at the game. And as we said at the end, MVP Mike Poland for staying up and putting all the information together for us and keeping everything going.
Also, don't forget there was a Hall of Fame inductees for Cliff Harris and Jimmy Johnson and Drew Pearson, and I saw the video clips. Some of my friends who were at the game, and Jimmy Johnson just belts out, "How about the Cowboys?" and the whole stadium erupts. It was fantastic.
Micah Parsons said that last night the stadium was equivalent to being back in Penn State, the Happy Valley, and it was rocking last night. And I mean, no doubt. I mean, obviously the Cowboys put it into the fans from the get-go. I mean, for 2 straight weeks we've scored on our first drive. And that hasn't been done. That hasn't been done for a long time.
When we move into the offense talk, that's the first thing I want to talk about is that first drive.
Yeah.
You said just when you mentioned it, I think don't know if it was Dave Hellman that tweeted out saying that, I think was it by the second or the third play of the second quarter, we were almost up to 100 rushing yards. It's just insane, isn't it?
Yeah. So we're gonna jump headlong into the game. We're nearly 25 minutes. We're nearly in the weeds again. So
sweet.
Bringing ourselves onto the offensive performance, and there was a comment there, and I think we should touch on this. I don't think there's a debate about this question.
There's
anymore.
no debate. There's no debate.
No.
Like, Dak is worth every single worth of his contract, regardless. He is a proven leader. He gets the team amplified, raises their levels up. Zeke he becomes more better when he plays along with Dak. Like, what more can you say? Dak's our quarterback. He is our quarterback.
Give him the comeback player of the year award already. It's over and done with. I mean, 3 weeks in, even the game that we lost, he didn't have a bad game. Yeah, I mean,
I think if anything, was it
like
one interception and maybe like 2 incomplete passes?
And he's thrown 2
interceptions. One was a
interceptions.
Hail Mary.
Right.
No,
right.
he's thrown 3 in total. One in the San Diego game, which was a miscommunication. There was the Hail Mary in the Tampa Bay game, and there was the one that bounced off CD Lamb in the Tampa game as well. So the guy's on fire. You can see that he's obviously been taking a lot of mental reps last year when he couldn't do anything. The guy's putting in the work. And the team are responding to it. And then the play calling by Kellen Moore has just, it's one of the things that's been a bright spot this year. We can attack any defense that we're facing at the moment. We can adapt to what they need, or we can impose our will and run it our way. So
Wow. No, that is like Brett, you bring that back up.
Yeah.
Holy crap. For anyone that's a betting person, right, the odds of Dak getting a few hundred yards a game now is 43%. That is basically, it's more than likely he's going to get that now.
Do you know what? I just had a quick look as well. And this weekend, he'll break 1,000 yards easy already. He's thrown for 878 yards already this season. The first 3 games.
Yeah. I think Derek Carr had something similar through his first 2 games, which is just startling. It just goes to show how wide open the offenses have become in the NFL.
And to think, well, we've still got our number 3 wide receiver to come back as well.
Yep.
Yes, we do. We do indeed. Paul, I know we touched on this before we came on air. You want to give a bit of love to an offensive player tonight?
Oh, absolutely. If there's one player I think deserves a lot of love and credit right now, it's Mr. Dalton Schultz right now. Mm-hmm. He completely was just fantastic. Dalton Schultz, to me, has just proved himself. He is our tight end number 1 right there in that game alone. Like, he's like, as much as like I'm a big Blake Jarwin fan as well, but since Schultz has been into the team, we've seen him evolve. He's progressed, and we're seeing him. He's becoming not just a blocking tight end, but he's now becoming that a good catcher now. From what previously before we were slating him, saying he's not as much of a good catcher. I don't recall he'd not even dropped 1 pass, and he was, and every catch he did, he was fighting for every yard. Like, he was fighting for it, like breaking after tackles, gaining those extra yards, and that is exactly what we're looking for right now. So, Dalton Schultz, you are fantastic, son. Fantastic.
You know, and I mean, you mentioned it. He's the second TD personified that perfectly. I mean, how many people he made miss last night for that? His second touchdown of the game.
Yeah.
That second touchdown was like probably like the move, like his separation was like great, but I think also that in all fairness as well, the Eagles just completely gave up and just completely they were decimated. But Dalton Schultz is like, nah, screw this, give me the other touchdown. Let's just sink more these dirty bugs. Let's do it.
Yeah, I mean, if you think last year when Jarwin went down and we were saying that, you know,
we were worried. He
works the seam route, but as soon as he caught the ball, that was it. He was normally tackled. To see him last night weave through the defense for that second touchdown, just whether they gave up or not, I mean, that just shows the advance that he's made this year. And you know, when he came out of Stanford, he was supposed to be a good blocking tight end. We didn't maybe see that as much, you know. Obviously, I think Bell last year was probably more of the blocking tight end, and Schultz maybe didn't display it as well. But this year, he's been putting licks on people all the time in the running game, and I mean, helping out with the offensive line where it's needed help. You know, he's making a name for himself, and it will be interesting to see if this is purely to, as we were talking, is this because it's a contract year for him, or is this him? The lights have come on, and he is the next superstar in this league.
Yeah, he's found his feet pretty much. Yeah, it's interesting.
I think, to be fair, I owe I was going to say Blake Jarwin. I owe Dalton Schultz a huge apology. I did doubt him this time last year because I had seen him in college. I'd seen him play for Stanford, and I believed he was playing in what's considered a pro-style offense and should have been ready. It's taken 2 years, but it seems to be under Mike McCarthy, he has flourished. But I just wanted to touch on just 2 small points, and these won't take much time. That move he put on for the second touchdown, moved his hips back inside. We've seen that before. We've seen CeeDee Lamb do that. We've seen Dak do that. We've seen Amari Cooper do that. And also, last night, we saw Eli Manning do it. He told us his hips did not lie, that he looked like Shakira.
I don't know what to say.
That's how we've all been tongue-tied, isn't it?
Yeah. But moving on, as we say, bringing it back around to Dak, I mean, the performance from Dak last night, as we say, 22 from 26, 81% completions. But I think more impressive about that was the amount of licks that Dak took, especially in the third and fourth quarter. He was getting monstrous hits, and he was taking them as well as I've ever seen Dak take tackles. I think we can now put to bed whatever doubts there were around his injuries. I think we are able to say he is back. He is performing to the best of his abilities.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But I think what we've benefited from as well is he's a different runner this time. He's more, he won't take the chances like he did in that Giants game, which obviously cost him the rest of the season. He's he will take the slide. He will, he knows it's better to get 3 yards and come back for the next down than it is to try and get 7 or 8 and, potentially end the season. So, he's doing what it needs for the team to move forward, not necessarily for anything, to try and put everybody on his back. And that can only benefit us. Yeah,
I think as you can see from that stat there. So his first quarter numbers alone: 8 from 9, 110 yards, a touchdown, and 154.7. I believe that is a perfect quarterback rating. So
near enough perfect, yeah. What I was going to say was, if there's one word, what I love doing is doing my whole one-word summaries about players and stuff like that. If there's one word I can sum up Dak Prescott during that whole game, was commanding. He was commanding his offense. You could see he was in full control of how dictating their defense. He was reading it. He was just like, honestly, man. What's that? An Eagleson once threw a hot dog at me at a game. Don't know what I caught it and ate it. True story. Oh, for goodness sake. Mike, stop.
That's got to be that. Is that not a rich comment? That's surely a rich comment. Is that one, isn't it?
I think that's a rich comment, but it does give us a beautiful little segue into another one of our standout performers last night. CeeDee Lamb. I know he didn't get a touchdown, but that catch for 44 yards that set up the first of Zeke's touchdowns. I mean, come on, that was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny that
he outjumped the guy by about three feet. The Eagles cornerback was still on the ground, and I mean,
is he still there now?
Watched that and it was like, oh my god,
Ready, Red, welcome.
Sorry, but I mean, I think another guy we need to give a little bit of a shout out to. It seems we have our new William the Refrigerator Perry in Conor McGovern coming in at fullback and bulldozing his way.
I love a good offensive line involved in the run game.
I love the call on that. I loved it. Absolutely loved it.
Yeah,
I love it.
I mean, it seemed to be a case that they were trying to get their best players on the field and giving them opportunities. And I mean, it's great to see that Conor McGovern is being given chances like that just to fit in and around the team. And I know, unfortunately, as the four of us are all Texas Longhorns fan, we do have to have a little bit of a chat about the 3 penalties that Connor Williams did give away. Is this just becoming endemic of Connor Williams himself? Did he have a bad game, or is the case he's in his final year of his contract and maybe it's a case of time to say goodbye?
I don't think it's a case of he's had a bad game, because he's been like this since he joined the team, and there's obviously now Paul's pledged his allegiance to UT. There's 3 of us here that's watched him and I'm not saying Paul's not watched him before. I mean, we were praising him up and say no, that this isn't, you know what I mean, coming out of college. But yeah, for me, I think I said it last week. I think it's probably time to move on. Sadly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I was excited when we did draft Connor Williams. I was, but it just doesn't seem. It doesn't seem to. It's just worked out for him. It just doesn't seem to do. He's actually progressed, but he's still making these like. There's some games where he's absolutely dominated. For example, Aaron Donald last year, and obviously in the off-season practice scrimmage, they completely demolished them. But whereas it comes to games like against the Eagles, he's making some really simple, stupid mistakes. And that's the thing that really annoys me the most. It's the basics. It's like he's still not like it's like just stop holding. That's all you need to do.
It's a little bit like a flip side of kind of the Trayvon Diggs kind of position of how on earth did Trayvon Diggs fall out of the first round, where everybody was saying how on earth did Connor Williams fall into the second round, because some people had him as the top rated offensive tackle in that draft, and everyone was surprised, especially us. Like one way they were like, my God, this guy's had a fairly stellar college career, and he's dropped into the second. It's like, this is going to be a steal.
See, here's the thing. So here's the thing, though, Jamie. Like, he was primarily a tackle for the majority of his whole college career.
His whole college career was all left tackle.
And I think he may have moved inside maybe I think someone did comment on that in a previous
show. Yeah, I think what is it? His first season.
But I think my point I'm trying to make is that since he's came to Dallas, he's not played 1 ounce of tackle at all, pretty much. We've actually tried to have him play at bloody center, right? We've had to play him at guard, right?
Yeah.
It's clearly like, it's like, was he supposed to be the backup for Tyron or whatever on that? We don't know. But either way, he is not a guard. He is not a guard, in my opinion.
No.
I want to bring up 2 comments here, and they're interconnected. So I'm guessing it's Mike has brought that up. So are we starting to worry about Tyler Biadasz? And then the next comment is, do we need to bring in Conor McGovern at centre? I'll admit, I called for it in the offseason for McGovern at centre. So take it away, gentlemen.
I mean, I'm interested to know why McGovern wasn't given any snaps during the off season at centre, because obviously he's got the experience in college. I've also sort of voiced that, you know, the fact that they're using Williams and trying to play him at centre rather than again using them as a possible swing tackle if you needed it as an emergency. I wonder if it's a ploy to try and keep his salary down for next year. Obviously, this is a contract year. If you are thinking about bringing him back, then playing him as an interior lineman is a lot cheaper than you look at guys like who was it? Ron Leary was a guard and he went off and made money with Denver. But who was it? Parnell, who went off to Jacksonville, wasn't a great tackle for us, but went off and converted it into something like a 6-year, $42 million contract with Jacksonville. If you're playing Williams at tackle and you know he flourishes there, then obviously that just puts the price up. Play him at center or guard, and you know he's serviceable at least. Now, Biadasz, he's still. You got to remember he's only played 6 or 7 games last year. Obviously got injured. Never really came back and reclaimed the starting spot from Joe Looney. So you know he is still technically a rookie. And he still needs another couple of years, perhaps, of NFL strength and conditioning program.
That's the thing. You just nailed it right there for me. I think it's the whole level up from college football, especially with the whole COVID protocols, where there was limited access to the strength and conditioning, weight rooms, and all that, etc., etc. Not to like, he did like you got absolutely bullied. in the game from the interiors, Fletcher Cox and whoever, I can't remember the other nose tackle.
Javon Hargrave.
Yeah, he was just dismantled Bayadish, but
yeah,
I find it's really fair to say is if Bayadish can just increase his strength and conditioning up, get that extra size on a little bit more, and actually hit, that would play a lot more advantage. Other than that, his blocking was actually okay, but he was just overpowered more than anything. That's the only. From looking at the film, he was in the right position. He was he was just outpowered more than anything.
Yeah. And I mean, Fletcher Cox will do that to you. I mean, Frederick and Zach Martin and all that if you go back the years where Philly have beaten us, invariably there's been one game a season where Philly have, Christ, I've gone to bed thinking, oh, this is going to, we're going to win this or whatever. I won't bother staying up or whatever. And then you wake up the next morning and Philly's defense have just put an absolute number on us. And it's always been because of guys like Fletcher Cox that, they find a way of getting through the line. And, even all pros have bad days against Fletcher Cox. So,
Mark there with a great comment there. His strength is weak due to the shoulder injury. That is that would play a massive factor, especially when it comes to the blocking and stuff like that. So he still hasn't gained full strength. That's on his coaches. That's an absolute fantastic point, and it's totally fair. So if Bayardis is still trying to play catch up, he's still you could even put the argument when we had Frederick back for that one season. He was not the same Frederick as he was when he took the year out. You noticed there was a bit of a strength difference on him.
Yeah.
It wasn't the full fitness. So you could see that could be the same scenario with Bayardis, because with him having that weak shoulder due to a shoulder injury, it's going to play a factor because you're using your shoulder to jack defensive linemen up if you're forcing them back. So that will play a big mass factor when it comes to that, for sure. Yeah. So, Mark, great comment.
Yeah. I've a small point here. I'm just after getting Rob Phillips has tweeted out just a bit of an injury update. So Kelvin Joseph is probably still a few weeks away from returning off IR, Mike McCarthy has said, but he's making progress. So are Neville Gallimore and Sean McKeown, and all three are eligible to return this week, but it doesn't sound like they will.
I'm really happy that Neville's making progress now. That's my boy. That's my boy.
And we accused Rich of making a comment earlier, but we know this one is definitely from Rich.
No, I think that was definitely Mike as well, to be honest. that I have to admit, that was going to be one of the most funniest moments. It's because when you hear this Bob Ross, then you hear the commentators do you think they're going to do a halfback draw? And when you get the reference, because you're drawing the paint with the paintbrush, I was and then it happened. I'm like, no, surely not. If I was the Eagles defense and I heard Bob Ross, you were thinking, okay, they're gonna go. It's going to be a halfback draw, Oh, crazy. And what did I say? I said the biggest thing for us was running the ball down the middle, because I don't know what it was. During that San Francisco game, they looked even though they had Fletcher Cox in there, but they just didn't. The gaps were just wide open through that whole game, through the middle. And we saw that consistently. Seat was going up for the middle. Even Pollard was getting up there as well. So, insane.
So Mike has admitted that was also him, but I think that there was an influence from Rich Jones there to make that comment. But before we do go any further, we're 45 minutes into the show, and we have yet to make reference to our wonderful sponsor over in Cowboys Experience. So, gentlemen, if you'd like to take it away.
Sure thing. Guys, if you are planning going to a Dallas Cowboys game this year, be sure to go and check out Cowboys Experience for the ultimate meet and greet tailgating, and game day packages for your ultimate experience. Meeting former players and Hall of Famers like Drew Pearson. It's an experience you do not want to miss. Myself, I am finally get to go over myself. I'll be joining the guys for the Denver Broncos game and for the Thanksgiving game. So be sure to go and check out their website, cowboysexperience.com, and use the discount code for UK Cowboys. And guys, what do you get if you use the code?
You get free stuff.
You get free stuff.
Free stuff. And I mean, make sure go follow them on all of their social media. The pictures we saw last night, it looked absolutely fantastic.
And no doubt, when I'm over there, it's going to be even mental.
Yeah, it is. But as always, we do love giving a shout out to our fellow content creators. So the likes of the Cowboys' own media team themselves, the Hanging with the Boys crew, Talking Cowboys in the Break, Cowboys Experience, the guys at 105.3 The Fan, and then all of our fellow content creators. So you have the likes of Marcus, Law Nation, Tuck, Skywalker Steel, KT's Fun Tweets. Make sure you follow all those people. They put out great content every single day. You will not be disappointed by what is there on their channels. So make sure and give them a follow.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So for 47 minutes in, gentlemen, and I think it is time that we flipped it over to the side of the ball, which I think most of us enjoy talking about.
Oh yeah, we can't miss out Star Gang, Nex and Professor O and all the other guys, and we can't miss those guys out. Big shout out to this. They were actually before we jump into defense, they were actually at the game. All the guys were there. Tuck, everybody, all the guys from Star Gang were at the game. They looked like they were having an absolute blast. So I am pretty freaking jealous. But I'll hopefully get to catch up with them when I fly out.
Yeah, are they intending to be there for the Broncos game, Paul, or is that in the works?
I think that I'm going to message Nix about it, but J Tuck's actually messaged me in regards to Kansas City because he's actually from Kansas City. Brilliant. So he's like, he was giving me the eyeballs on Twitter, and I was like, oh, interesting, huh? I was like, oh, you know it, man, you know it.
And so, in terms of, as we say, the defensive side of the ball, I think it's fair to say in the first half alone, this Cowboys defense was playing like the 92, 93 defense. They were giving nothing up. They were mean. They were powerful. They were hitting everything that moved. It was impressive.
If there's a saying I can put towards that whole defense in that game, and this is a motto that my former team, the East Kilbride Pirates, used, is attitude is everything. The attitude of that whole team was just after it. They were after the ball, left, right, and center, just ball hawking. And if that's one thing that we got right this year in this off season, we got absolute all the acquisitions we brought in. They're absolute like see ball, get ball. That's their mentality, and we're seeing that coming through.
I mean that was an early shots fired with Anthony Brown making the interception on that first drive. I mean, as soon as I saw that, as soon as I saw that, you knew that this game was ours for the taking, and
it certainly was.
It certainly was.
I think we kind of I think the jury's still out on Anthony Brown, to be fair.
There you go.
But I will give him an apology for the abuse recently. So so you have redeemed yourself, Mr. Anthony Brown. Yeah. Please continue this great form. Please continue.
I think to be fair, Paul, the comment you made about C-ball, get ball, I remember that coming up as part of the highlights package, and they were talking about Micah Parsons. This, that Dan Quinn has said to him, if things break down, go after the ball, as people are saying he's doing a great job. Jamie, I'm going to bring you in here. Talk to me about Mike Parsons.
What's left to kind of say? I know it's 3 games in, but shit, a lot of teams are going to be. Let's say they're going to be regretting passing up on him just for the fact, like, to say, from the sounds of if we would have stayed at 10, we'd have been 10. We got an extra pick. He's just an absolute beast, and the transition from college to NFL for a lot of players, and rightfully so. Sometimes, as Paul mentioned a little bit ago, there's a massive gap in there. But he's taking it like a duck to water. And this kid's going to be a force to be reckoned with for a good 10 years or so, if not longer.
Guys, just so you know, my experience talking about cornerbacks is not as in depth as what other positions. Just so I know. So apologies if I'm being a bit too kind to Anthony Brown. I'm still against the fence with him. So I just want to make that clear.
I think, to be fair to Anthony Brown, he had an Anthony Brown game last night. He had an interception, and then I think who was that said it here?
Mark Cantor.
Mark, the very next play, he got burned. That is Anthony Brown. That is who he is. It's not going to change. It's never going to get any better or any worse. That's just Anthony Brown. But I think, Jamie, you mentioned the player there, Micah Parsons, and how we dropped a spot and got an extra pick. I do believe that extra pick, and now correct me if I'm wrong, turned into a certain Osa Odigizua, and people doubted that? Or was that the Chauncey Golston pick?
That was the Chauncey Golston pick.
Yeah.
So it's a double happy for me, because you all know my feelings on Chauncey Golston.
Yeah. But, I mean, Osa Odigizua, what happened last night? Paul, I might be about to break
came
Paul's
on for him last night.
Yeah. I might be about to break Paul's heart with a comment. Is Osa Odigizua going to replace Neville Gallimore?
No, he's not. No, they're both of them. If I'm being honest, now the way how Usa's going to be going forward now, I think it's going to be like depending what the scheme is. But if you're going to definitely run 2 defensive tackles, that's your 2 starters right there.
Yeah.
But if it's going to be singular, like play more of a nose tackle or play as a one tech, whatever, it's going to be more rotational, I think. Like it's going to have to be keep the defenses guessing, whatever and that. And Mark just raised the comment that if they're smart, they rotate. Exactly, Mark.
Yeah,
that exactly, mate. Exactly. And that's what if that was me. If I was running a free front, I would rotate them in because both of them can cause some collateral damage to that offensive line.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, the flexibility that they have, where they can play, they can play the 3 tech, they can go out on a three-man line, they can go out and play a 5 tech defensive end. I mean, the call up, if anybody's actually in danger, I would definitely say Tristan Hill. But if he gets called up this year, he's going to have to hit the ground running when he comes in. And I mean, it's a shame again last year that he had that devastating injury, because he was clicking last year. He was a bright point in what was a fairly pathetic year last year. But it's a shame he's not back. But I mean, he's probably on the outside looking in at the moment.
Just to kind of add again to Mark's comment there about Quentin Bohanna there, it's like when you really do think about it, and we mentioned this off, I think when if it came in, if it was earlier on the show or it was before the show, before we went live, it's like every single of our defensive rookies were outstanding. Every single one of them. Parsons, Bohanna, Odigizua, fantastic.
Yep.
Yeah. Absolutely, and I mean, I think as Graham always says, the first guy off the bus, Quentin Bohanna, got in there last night, 2 tackles, a tackle for a loss, space eater. I think he's just going to be another nice piece to have in this defensive line. And as you guys say, I'm not going to get into the defensive line. I don't know enough. It's having those rotational guys there and getting them involved in the play. But I think on all levels of the defense, I think we had a great performance. I mean, the linebackers played well, and the secondary showed up. As we say, I think someone said it earlier, we are now on a +7 for turnovers, I believe, is it?
Yeah.
I think we're still top. Although I think who was it had the 2 touchdowns on back-to-back plays? The Bucks at the weekend might have joined us on that ranking, but I mean, what did you guys think about the linebackers last night? I mean, obviously Parsons again phenomenal, but the rest of the backs.
Yep, I'll go right ahead. Right, so I feel as though Van Der Esch and Jalen Smith they're starting to answer my questions. My concerns was in terms of, more particularly Jalen. We've talked a lot about Jalen this offseason, thinking he's now the weakest link and stuff like that. It still may be the case, but he is actually answering the questions in terms of, can he track? Can he be lateral? He is doing what he's supposed to be doing now. He's actually moving in and tracking after guys with the ball, running backs with the ball, or wide receivers. He's getting into the right positions now, and he is actually making actual proper solo tackles. So I can't be mad. I'm actually really happy for him. Go Jalen. You keep up what you're doing. Same with Van Der Esch. Same with him as well. So, I mean, I think our linebackers are, from what it was from last season, one of our weakest points is now, as a group collectively now, is becoming the strongest one. And we haven't even talked about Jabril Cox. Did even see any game time, I don't think. I don't think he was on the field, was he?
Yeah. I think he came in for a couple of series. I'm just trying to check the numbers here again, because I thought I saw the name Jabril Cox mentioned. It's not coming up there now, but I mean, Jabril Cox is going to be someone who I believe will come in later in the season. Absolutely. As he gets up to speed, and we have to start making decisions, as we say, with Jalen Smith, with extending a contract for Leighton Van Der Esch, Keanu Neal, who was out last night with COVID. All of these guys, we have to make some kind of a determination and decision on them. And it could be just that you're kind of redshirting Jabril Cox for the season and letting him get used to the Dan Quinn system. I did, before we went to the linebackers, I did mean to bring up another guy who, although we didn't have the numbers last night, had a huge game. Randy Gregory.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, he didn't record a hell of a lot of, of the flash plays, but I mean, he was around the ball and he was chasing Hurts down, and he was disruptive, if nothing else. So he certainly earned his money last night, I think. You can. The thing about defensive linemen is you can do all this, but you could be a step late to make the tackle, to make a sack or whatever. If you're getting the pressures, you're making the guy think about where he's throwing the ball. You saw with even the touchdown that the Philadelphia Eagles scored on that first drive, where that was just a case of actually CeeDee Lamb slipped, and that was where Dak was trying to throw the ball. Dak noticed that CeeDee had slipped, so that had made him pull it down, and then obviously it was beneficial for Cox and what have you to to knock the ball out. But I mean, that's all you can ask for as a defensive lineman, is to get in and be disruptive, and things will happen for you eventually. So you maybe have one game where you're not recording any of the flash stats, but the next time you're coming up against a different guy. And I mean, one thing for Jalen Hurts is he can use his legs, and he'll outrun you 9/10 of the time, you know. But I mean, what we're seeing from this defense is what Mike Nolan had actually promised us last year, that the scheme would fit player, and this is what we're seeing this year. We're not asking Jalen Smith to do things that he can't handle. We're not asking Leighton Van Der Esch to go and clog up gaps half the time and put his ailing body on the line, 80 snaps a game. This is playing to the strengths of all of these players. And Dan Quinn, I mean, he must be going in on a Tuesday morning going, right, what have I got to play with this week? And, who's going to be in, who's going to be out? I mean, that's Keanu Neal out for 2 weeks now because he actually did test positive for COVID and being unvaccinated. The rules are he's got to miss 14 days. So, you're not going to see him until the following weekend. And we still haven't had to rely on guys like Nashawn Wright and Mukuamu as well. You're getting safety play from guys that we don't have a thumper like Donovan Wilson, but you've got Casey, you've got Hooker, you've got Curse. They're making plays. They're making defensive. They're making offenses look at where they are as well on the field. Both of these coordinators that we have are doing an absolutely fantastic job, and they're causing problems for the opposition week in, week out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and a shout. It's a quick shout for another one that does it. That's kind of a little bit down the roster, and you always look for these guys to kind of, when they get to see the field, that they make a couple of plays here and there. And he impressed me throughout precision. Luke Gifford for me. He only recorded 2 tackles, but one of them were for loss. And these are the kind of things, like I say, that for someone like Gifford, his chances of seeing the field are going to be far less than obviously someone like a Leighton Van Der Esch or a Jalen Smith. And so when he gets on the field, you want to see him making a play. And tackle for loss isn't to be snapped at, is it?
I think we all have, Mark. I think we all have.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I think to be very fair to Dan Quinn, I think a lot of us kind of questioned some of the free agent acquisitions. We kind of questioned some of the draft picks. I think at this stage, there is none of us who are questioning things. Now, again, we will attest to this is a 3-game sample size, and there are still 14 games to be played.
I know. It's crazy,
seen,
crazy to think there's still 14 games.
Yeah, from what we've seen, everyone on the defense. I don't want to say it's a no-name defense because there's a lot of talent and there's a lot of names on that defense, but they're all working together. There's a unity with that team. There's no hot boys. There's no BS with this group, and I think that's coming from the top from Dan Quinn. It's like that Bill Belichick mantra: do your job, and they're all doing their jobs.
Do you know what's crazy to think? And I think it was Dave Hellman that I saw a tweet from this morning that a lot of times these bargain basement kind of free agent acquisitions has killed us sometimes and has really hurt us. And like this year, it seems to have bounced on the different way. That if you think about it, Malik Hooker, Golston and Kazee, for all 3 of them combined, were
less than $1 million guaranteed.
Less than $1 million on the hook for these 3 guys. And I just think, like I say, Dan Quinn's obviously brought in guys that can play, like you say. And we've mentioned them maybe a few years ago before. The Patriots kind of used to done that a lot. If you look at the offense that Tom Brady always played with, until he kind of got around him, Ossieri was towards the end of his career, and he's had Gronkowski. If you look at the receivers that Brady had throughout his years, never really these flashy kind of receivers. It's receivers that can play in that system. That can, you know what I mean, and that's what you want. You know what I mean, what's the point of overpaying for some of these prima donnas that are just clearly out there for the money, and once you get the payday, they don't give two shits. Getting people in that want to play, that want to come, that, like I say, a lot of these 1 year prove it deals that can prove that they can still play and offer them. And fair play to them. I mean, yeah, they're not costing as much now, but if they play and put this defense over the top and help put this team over the top and get over that little bit of a hump, then they deserve a payday.
It's funny that it's funny that you mentioned that, Jamie, about the Patriots. The thing is about the Patriots is like they're in that position where they can get, for example, Danny Shelton at that time. When they signed him, he was like a first round draft pick for Cleveland, did well, and they traded him to Patriots. But the fact is, it's like it was more like any type of player they brought in, it's like a prove it deal. But the players wanted to play for the Patriots because they feel as though it was the best chance to get a Super Bowl because they had Brady, like the system that Belichick had. And why wouldn't you? Like if I was a player and Patriots were coming, whatever and that, you would think, okay, I'm going to be a part of a team. I'm going to learn so much. I'm going to do this and that. You're more likely to have the chances of progressing that high up winning culture, you know. So and I think what is happening with Dallas right now is and I think you mentioned just earlier there, Brian, is the culture. Well, you saying unity, but there's a culture change for sure. Like you said, there's no more hot boys, rather than that. It was all fun and games. It was all fun at the time, but now it's serious. It's like just get in there, get on with it, like do your job. That's it. So I'm all for that.
Like I say, it seems like there's a different kind of vibe around the whole team this year, and I don't know if that's just because we've had hard knocks, so we've been able to see a little bit more of the off season. But it just seems a different kind of culture this year. And like I said, I don't know, it could be the coaching changes a lot, but I think a lot more positive than we have been in the last few years.
Let's be honest. Let's be honest, Jimmy. Mike Nolan aged us 20 years. The appointment of Mike Nolan last year was a big question mark in general. I'm just glad now we've actually made the right acquisition for the defense that we're so desperately needed attention and refinement, and we're getting that, and we're seeing the fruits of that labor now. We're finally getting that. I know the season's still too early. We're having that, but other things may happen. But we're moving in the right direction. It's like every game going forwards, like from the Bucks to the Chargers to now, it's been getting better and better and better. We're seeing more numbers and turnovers. We're seeing more numbers and hits and pressures. Everything. We're seeing it all come together, and this is what I'm loving so much right now.
Like you say though, as well about like saying, although it's early in the season, look, I think if you look at the stats over the years, how many teams go 0-3, 0-4 to start the season and don't make the playoffs? So even though it's early, you've got to get some little bit of momentum to go before you maybe go on a bit of a barren, maybe 2-3 games in the middle of the season, isn't it?
Yeah. I know, and here's the thing: everyone was pure worried about the preseason games. We're 0-4 in the preseason. Like, listen, like preseason doesn't mean jack shit. It's excuse my language. Like, players are there to make the team. That's the whole point of preseason, and just to kind of loosen off any rustiness, like from like even though playing a snap in a while, or just to get the feel for the game again. But the matters is week 1 going into the season. That's when everything comes out, and that's what we're seeing right now.
Yeah, I mean to go with the culture that we were talking about. I mean, you only have to look at that Hard Knocks. Look at Zeke, schooling Jaquan Hardy. You look at Tank doing the same with Azur Kamara. I mean, you know, these are guys that were always going to be on the roster bubble, but you know, for these guys, it's bring the next guy along. You know, we know that this is a 17-game season. You're not going to be able to rely on people being able to play every single game because of injuries. You're trying to get some cohesiveness so that even the guy that's coming in as the next man up knows the job he's got to do, and he's willing to, he's getting schooled by people to actually, they're not worried about them, this guy's taking my job or potentially going to take my job. They're doing anything to help the team, and that culture change is just night and day from last year. And you know, again, the 4 preseason games, we didn't win the 4 preseason games, but the culture was there that nobody was getting on each other's backs, saying, "No, you missed that block, you missed this," or whatever. You know, this is something to build on. Yes, we haven't gone through bad times yet. You know, even that Tampa game, we were in it. We were in it right up until the end. Who knows if Greg Zerline could have made 2 of those kicks? We could be 3-0 at the moment. You look at say Minnesota, a Dalvin Cook fumble and a couple of drop passes away from being 3-0 as well. They're 1-2. They're 1-2. You know, at this stage of the season, anything can happen in these opening weeks. It's how you build on it.
And let's not forget, who did we beat last week? The Chargers. And what did they do this weekend?
They beat the
they went out
at Arrowhead. So you know, this league, it changes from day to day, hour to hour. Even it's not even it's always evolving.
You just said it out. You just took the words out of my mouth. It's forever evolving.
Yeah, and I mean it's great to see, and I mean I think that's like on the off season. I didn't give 2 flying fiddlers about what happened in the off season. The off season was about finding the guys from 26 to 53. We didn't play our starting offense or defense at all. So it was about finding those guys who are going to make up the rest of the roster, who know what they have to do, as you guys said, in a game situation. So that to me is a great thing. And as we say there, the Chargers made the game close because of terrible play calling. I would say I would slightly disagree and say don't forget the Chargers also had 2 touchdowns chalked off, one of which was debatable at best. You know, so I wouldn't say their play calling was that bad.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's progression, isn't it? That's why we love talking about football. It's always a forever debate.
Absolutely. So no, we don't actually have it. I'm going to have a chat with Mike and see if we can get a special teams banner put up there. But moving on to our special teams,
that'll be down to me because I created the videos for that.
There we go. So Paul will take a look at our special teams one there. So again, Greg the leg 5 from 6. He missed an extra point.
Yeah, so like I said, it's like when you really think about it, about the bullshit call on Dak Prescott's touchdown and the missed point extra, there was a potential that it could have been 49-21 a score.
Yeah. Yep. And I'd say they might have gone for a 2-point conversion if they had been at 48.
And went for a proper 50-burger.
Yeah.
I mean that 70-yard punt by Brian Anger. I mean that was just that flipped the field for the Cowboys as well, and put Philadelphia on the back foot as well. So that was a turning point of the game as well. Or I mean, not a turning point really. It's certainly, you know, it made it difficult for the Eagles to get back into the game. You know, and I thought that other than Greg the Legs miss, I thought, you know, special teams, there wasn't any questionable calls by Fassel this week. Although I mean, I have to say I like the block punt. You know, you should always be having somebody try and block the punt. Looking back at it as well, I mean, you could say that we were blocked into the punter. You know, in actual fact, it was it was a personal protector. I think there was also a question of whether the ball had been tipped or not, in which case it shouldn't have been a rough in the kicker in the Chargers game. But You know, you can only go by the referees.
Yeah, because we actually saw Fassel making a comment on it, and it was like, it's like, well, what am I supposed to do? Let them try and punt it 40 yards down the field? It's like we want to try and prevent them from getting that, giving ourselves a disadvantage. So,
and I think it was either Jesse Holley or Isaiah Stambach who said that, you know, the offense is aggressive, the defense is aggressive. Do you really want your special teams, your third and fourth string guys to be passive and just you know let the things happen? No, you want that. You know, you got to. That's not going to set the tone for when they do come on and play offense or defense. So you want these guys to be fired up as well.
And I think to be fair, I'm in support of that point, Lauren. I think I saw a clip, and it was around Wednesday or Thursday of last week, that there was maybe something like, I think, 16 block punts last season. It might be different, but 3 of those punts were the Chargers kicker. So knowing what I know now, I can understand why Fassel made the call he did to go after the kicker, because it was exactly the same punt every time. He's quite laboured in his dropping and then bringing his leg up to meet the ball. So if a guy had 3 block punts last season, why not try it at least once? But again, looking at Brian Anger there in terms of his numbers, 4 attempts, 202 yards, 50.5. Yeah, I mean that's 3 or 4 yards longer than Chris Jones last season, and I do believe Brian Anger is actually older than Chris Jones. So, you know, it looks like a good pickup. I was all for Hunter Niswander, but I mean, to be fair, I can see why Anger has won that job.
Yeah, absolutely. There's nothing much else to really say on that matter, really.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Mike has a comment here. I'm just going to bring it up. What's the point?
Mike, do me a favor, because this is getting confusing. Comment on your actual profile. Seriously.
So I think unless there's anything else, gents, that you want to bring up from the game or, you know, the weekend overall, I think we can start the close down process.
Well, I want to kind of talk about it when we were talking about offense, but we didn't get the opportunity. But it was from the very get-go, that first opening drive was what we've been asking for ages. It was setting the principle from the very get-go. That I think the biggest mistake was the Eagles deferred the ball to us. That was their biggest mistake.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like and we just rammed it down their faces in that first opening drive, and that was pretty much it going through the rest of the game. And an off note, I'm actually really enjoying all of the Eagles reaction videos right now. It's actually been quite entertaining. Right. So guys, if you ever get a chance to, like, I don't want to put an Eagles fans YouTube channel out there, but if you go and watch Philly 500's absolute meltdown of the game, it is absolutely priceless. Absolutely priceless.
Jamie the Godfather, anything to add before we wrap up tonight's episode?
No, just I said, obviously, so we're only 3 in, but performance of the season in what could have been a potential banana skin kind of game. It was good, like I said, good to see Dak get through the game unscathed, apart from that one big hit that we were talking about off air, thinking, shit, that could have been really bad, but he come back and he threw a pinpoint bloody touchdown pass to the back of the end zone to show that he had no effects. And yeah, let's just hope we can keep this momentum going into this. Do you know what I mean? I know we touched on it off air, didn't that the Panthers have missing a couple of players this week, but you can only play who's in front of you. So let's take a momentum. Let's make it 3-1, and let's make it harder for the teams in our division to catch up to us.
Lauren, the senior, before we head off, any final thoughts?
The only thing is that, I mean, obviously, it's been a talking point in whether Mike McCarthy was bad with his play calling management in the tail end of the first half as well, not calling timeout. He even had one of the referees come over at 45 seconds and say, "Are you sure you don't want to call a timeout?" But I mean, you're up 20-7. You know, even if the Eagles had scored, I don't think they were going to get back into that game. I'm happy with you. You don't want to, you know, put them under pressure, or you don't want to risk something that gets them back in the game, either by, you know, making them feel that they've been disrespected, you know, and then they come out fired up for the second half, or, you know, you maybe make a play call or something like that where Dak ends up turning the ball over, or, you know, something happens and it gives them a momentum shift. So I was quite happy with that. I don't know what you guys thought.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. But before we do wrap up, obviously we give a shout out, Paul, if you want to take it away there, and give a shout out to our sponsor.
Sure thing. Guys, if you are planning on going to a Dallas Cowboys game this year, be sure to go to cowboysexperience.com, where you can have meet and greet, tailgating, and game day packages and so much more. Get to meet legends like Sir Drew Pearson and various other Cowboys within the current Cowboys roster. For example, you can see there in the pictures, there's Zach Martin, Michael Gallup. I mean, what more can we say? Like, the guys are like, they will treat you like absolute royalty. Me and Jamie are firsthand. Like, we'll tell you firsthand of our experience going with Cowboys Experience. They treat you like absolute royalty. And if you do go to cowboysexperience.com, be sure to use the code UK Cowboys. And guys, once again, for the final time, what do we get?
Chocolate pudding.
No,
we didn't say it earlier. We had to get it in somewhere.
It has to go in there.
You get free stuff. Be sure to reference the code UK Cowboys when you're on UKCowboys.com. Cowboys Experience.
Don't be a clown. Use the code. Get free stuff.
Yes.
And guys, also please check out all our friends of the show. From Hanging with the Boys, Cowboys Zone, Talking Cowboys, Cowboys for Life, Cowboys Phones Only, like the names goes on, like Big Game James, Star Gang, Law Nation, the list goes on. All these guys are amazing content creators within the Cowboys Nation community. Be sure to go and check them out. They are like friends of the show. We try and have them on, and also Brian, we actually have an announcement for Thursday's show.
So Jamie, if you'd like to make the announcement for Thursday.
I'm going to say, what's the announcement? Because I think I missed
it. It's on the screen.
I'll do it. So guys, so for Thursday's show, we have special guest Rob Phillips from the Dallas Cowboys media team joining us for the pregame show against. Oh God, who are we playing next week?
Carolina.
Oh God, for the Carolina Panthers pregame show.
Yeah, I must be on that never came up on this. That never came up on this one of the screens.
I swear to God, see, because now I'm actually finally going to a game this year myself. Not one, not two, but 3 games this year. I don't even process who we're playing next year. I'm just focused about the Broncos game, the Chiefs game, and the Thanksgiving game. That's the games I'm thinking about right now.
Yeah. But as we say, guys, do tune in Thursday night. Rob Phillips will be joining. Make sure and join that show, and try and steer Mike and Rob away from having a Texas Aggies love-in, and remind them about being beaten by Arkansas at the weekend. But again, just to let everybody know, we do have a huge guest list. And we do have guests coming up. Unfortunately, we did have Meg lined up for tonight, but she got called into work for a meeting, so she couldn't make it on. I do want to give a shout out to Meg's mum, who was wearing a Team 40 Burger t-shirt last night. So, make sure get your Team 40 Burger t-shirts, whatever you do, folks.
Yeah, so in case anyone was wondering, Meg Murray, who represents...
Blogging the Boys.
You're blogging the boys. Sorry. So be sure to go and follow Meg Murray as well. She's a big friend of the show, and the guys at Blogging the Boys.
Yeah, absolutely. Meg, Kelsey, Taylor was also at the game last night. So
I noticed that as a guest.
She was also at the She was also at the Arkansas game as well. So
yeah. I think she was spending the weekend with Haley Anderson. So
they're
good buddies.
They're good friends. Yeah.
So, as we say, we're an hour and a half into the show at this stage. So, final reminder: make sure tune in Thursday night, 9:00, 4:00 on the East Coast in America, 3:00 in Texas, 1:00 in the Pacific Coastal region. Mike and the team will be available and chatting with Rob Phillips about all things Carolina Panthers coming up this weekend. From me, gentlemen, it's good night. Thank you very much.
Dallas forever, Philly for never.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Stay safe and have a good week.
There we go. Good night.
Night.